Michelle, are there people in the waiting room?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the July 8th Planning Board meeting. It's 7:35. Present tonight is myself, Daniel Edmiston, Chairman. I've got Richard Clark, our Vice Chairman, Bill LePage, member, and Lou Perrin, member, along with Bill Scanlon, our acting town planner, and Michelle Jervis, our acting clerk. Welcome. It's good to be back in our friendly confines of the office once again, as opposed to on the Zoom meeting. I have a little bit I have to try to read through my foggy glasses. Public hearings. A quorum of the planning board will be physically present at the hearing location, and the hearing will be live broadcast on Dudley Cable Access Television Channel 192. However, pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, and the governor's executive orders imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, members of the public or other persons or representatives with matters appearing on the hearing notice or agenda who wish to be physically present for the public hearing must observe the following requirements. In accordance with existing requirements imposed by the governor, hearing rooms will be limited in terms of the total number of persons that may be physically present at the same time, including board members and staff. Satellite rooms will be available for overflow, and the hearing will be broadcast in real time in those satellite rooms. Persons who wish to participate in any particular matter on the hearing agenda will be asked to wait in the satellite room until the agenda item is reached, at which point attendees will be rotated between the main hearing room and the satellite room or rooms as appropriate. Social distancing must be maintained in both the main hearing room and in satellite rooms. Face masks or coverings will be required in accordance with Governor Baker's May 1st, 2020 COVID-19 Order Number 31, order requiring face coverings in public places where social distancing is not possible. A copy of that order can be found at www.mass.gov/doc/May 1st, 2020 mask and face covering /download. Failure to comply with these requirements may lead to the attendees' removal from the hearing. In lieu of in-person attendance, persons with matters appearing on the hearing agenda may request that their attendance be by virtual means. Such requests should be directed to Michelle Jervis at 508-949-8001 or the email address selectman1@dudleyma.gov. No more than 48 hours in advance so that appropriate arrangements can be made. First item on our agenda is the approval of the June 22nd and June 24th meeting minutes. Has the board had a chance to review these? Anybody make a motion?
Chairman, I'd like to move that we accept the meeting minutes for June 22nd and June 24th, 2020, as presented.
I have a motion to accept the meeting minutes of June 22nd and the 24th. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Item B, A&R plans. The first one is Klondike Road, Lanford. We did them both at the same time. We knocked them off both at once, yep. I figured if there's no discussion, we could just go through it like that. Okay. So the A&R plan for Lanford, Klondike Road. Is anybody present to present it to us, or? Nope. All right. I'll say board, so.
They said they would be here tonight, Dan, but we can go ahead and do it without them. Sure.
Nope. All right, Bill had sent us an email with the plans. It's basically 2 lots on Klondike Road. One has a house and a portion of a swimming pool. The other one has a garage and a shed building and the other portion of the swimming pool. The A&R plan is to transfer the rest of the swimming pool and a little bit of land around it from the lot number with the garage to the lot number with the house. Did I state that pretty much correctly?
Yep, correct.
So I think that's is that a Res 43?
Yes.
Yep. So both lots would still have the required square footage.
And frontage?
and lot frontage. I don't think they're asking for any waivers.
No.
We have the application with application fee and everything.
Yes.
Does the board have any questions, any comments? Hearing none?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move that we accept the A&R as presented for Lamper Klondike Road.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept the A&R plan. I'm not gonna be able to read the lot numbers with, it's printed out this long, it's this short. Is that okay, this small?
Sure.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right,
You want to sign it now?
accepted.
You want to sign it?
We can sign, if we got it present.
Is it easier for us to go to it, or?
Yeah, we should probably just single file, mosey on over there one at a time, social distance, sign, and move on. We sign just the plan or the application as well? This one.
There you go. Are you sharing the Sharpie or?
Yeah.
I guess. And Mr. Lansford said he would be available by phone if we needed to talk to him. but we didn't.
That was a pretty no-brainer as far as I'm concerned, so board didn't have any comments. All right, moving on to the next A&R plan. This is on Marshall Terrace, Gruzecki. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
I did get a request for continuance late this afternoon.
Really?
Would you like to read it or just acknowledge it?
It just surprised me because it seemed like this was a no-brainer as well, so.
Well,
Look
there
at
were some
that.
changes, he needed to make some changes to the plan.
Okay.
When I reviewed it, there were a couple of items that I asked him to change, and he didn't get to it in time.
All right, so today at 4:18, we received an email. Good afternoon, Bill. I will be unable to attend this evening's meeting as discussed. I would ask for a continuation until next meeting. I will be able to provide the Mylar and certification as discussed for the next meeting. Best regards. Did you have a chance to talk to, we're only planning on a meeting once a month. Is this something that's a rush that we need to have a meeting later on this month, or can we hold off till August? Yep.
I'm actually the owner of the lot, and I was under assumption that the engineer who's doing all my work was supposed to show up here today, but I didn't get that email, so,
Are you Peter?
yes,
It was also addressed to you as well, but apparently you didn't get in time.
I
Oh.
did not receive any email at all.
So.
Do you want a continuation, or?
Well, I'd rather take care of it now if we could, but the only problem is I do not have any type of, paper, work at all. He was supposed to get all that stuff.
So we don't have that.
What- So there's, the changes are more, clerical than anything else. It
Yep.
doesn't change the substance of the plan. So if you wanted to, you could go ahead and act on the A&R plan. And as you know, I have the authority to sign it on the board's behalf.
Yep.
So I could review the revised plan when it comes in and then sign it to sort of expedite matters.
Okay.
As long as there were no substantive changes, then it would.
Not to the lot itself. It was,
Yeah, it's an existing lot on Marshall Terrace.
Correct.
It's empty.
Yep.
What the plan is showing is basically the perimeter setbacks to what could possibly be in the future a proposed two-story building. We recently changed this, if I remember this correctly, from it was zoned a business 15, I think. It got changed to a res 10. So as far as zoning is concerned, we're squared away. The lot size is squared away. Again, it just showing setbacks, and that allows the owner then to build on this lot as, with these setbacks for a 3-year freeze. So in case there happens to be any kind of a zoning change or whatever else, he's given himself the right to hold on to this for 3 years. So I personally don't have a problem with it. I don't see any issues with it. I think I would be willing to vote on it right now. I don't know how the rest of the board feels. Again, it's just, as you see on the board there, it's an existing lot, it's empty, and we're just being shown the setbacks.
It's currently a wooded lot, isn't it?
Correct.
Correct.
Yep.
so the changes that I asked for were, you can see here, it says town of Southbridge zoning.
Yep, the plan was a little bit different, yeah.
So that, well, it's Dudley zoning, obviously.
Right, yeah.
And then we need a surveyor signed seal in order for the registry to record the plan.
Yep.
So the engineer was going to make those changes, but didn't get to it in time. So those are the only issues that I pointed out.
Yeah, so if the board wanted, we can vote on it right now, contingent on these changes being made. And then if the plan would get in before our next meeting,
Mhm.
Bill could sign in our absence.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we accept the plan as presented, pending the conditions or amendments that the town planner is looking for going forward.
All right, I have a motion to accept this A&R plan contingent on the clerical changes being made. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? All right, good to go. Yeah, thank you.
You don't need that email now.
Yeah, yeah, so scratch that email that I read. All right, moving on to our next item. This is an A&R plan on Lyons Road / Truman Drive, Meadows. Again, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, sorry if I'm not. This is the swimming pool lot, this is a swimming pool lot, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
yes, you can see there are a bunch of
And sheds in the back.
accessory buildings and the swimming pool.
So right now, lot 19 and 20 are both combined,
Yes.
and then,
No, I think, well, let me check. I think that's correct.
and then the idea is to create, subdivide, exactly. Now, the zoning for lot 19. Do you know what zoning district that is? There we go.
Mhm. So it's Res 43, I believe, or Res 30.
It's a res 30.
Right.
And now lot 20, does that fall under the same zoning area, or does that fall under the Lyons Drive area?
It's this lot here, so
Oh, it
we
is
are
a,
changing the dimensions of that lot. Let me pull up the aerial so you can see what's going on here.
all right.
So you can see the lot line splits the pool, and these sheds are on, so the intent is to move this line this way, so that the pool and the sheds all will fall on this lot. And then this lot will stand alone without any buildings on it as a buildable lot.
So, as a buildable lot, you said?
Because it will fall on Truman Drive, which is an approved subdivision way now,
Mm-hmm.
that provides the rationale for the A&R by creating a new lot on an approved subdivision way. It has proper access required by the subdivision control law. So what they're proposing to do is
But it's not part of the it wasn't part of the subdivision that we approved.
it wasn't owned by Mr. Haynes, but the road comes from Lyons and obviously goes in through here. So it's on the subdivision way that you approved.
Is anybody here for this project, or? You want to step forward? Introduce yourself real quick and just give us a quick summary?
Yes, I'm Tom Ravane. I'm Ravane Builders. We're actually developing the project
Okay.
in Truman Road, Lyons Estates. And so we're basically we talked to Mr. Meadows, and the frontage is on Truman Road, so he agreed to split the lot for us so we could put that as part of our first lot on the subdivision. There's an additional lot that there where the frontage, goes down, and there's plenty of frontage. We had it engineered by, the engineers to calculate the right, I think we had 30,000 square feet, to meet the requirements that we needed.
So, but this again wasn't part of the actual subdivision?
No, it wasn't. It was a private lot. I think the lot was actually always two lots.
Yep.
The lot line, when we sent the engineers up there, the lot line actually went through the middle of the pool originally. So we actually moved the lot line down and kind of made it conforming lots on both parts. To
Okay.
make it more of a buildable lot and to include it as part of the subdivision.
So without Truman Drive or Truman Ave, this Truman Drive, this lot would not have been buildable, right?
Correct.
Okay. Is this a gray area somehow, as how it fits into Lyons Estates? I mean,
Well, an
that's been
A&R
engineered as a whole, right?
Well,
So,
an A&R requires frontage on one of three types of way. A public way, a way approved under the subdivision control law.
Yep.
Or a private way which the planning board deems adequate for access. So this would be the second type of way. It's
Yep.
now a way that the planning board has approved as a subdivision. So there's authority for you to endorse this A&R because it has the required frontage on an approved way.
okay. Does the board have any questions?
I think it's a great idea. I have an empty lot, let's create some more taxes.
Anybody else, any comments? Richard, Bill?
Does this in any way affect the original plan as far as sidewalks, anything like that?
You will build the road
According
according to the
to
plan.
the subdivision plan.
So
Correct.
there shouldn't be any,
The sidewalks were going past it anyways.
Right.
The only difference now is you'll have a curb cut there
Correct.
for a driveway versus just going by an empty lot.
Yeah, that's the only difference on that.
So when this lot is built on, does it fall under the order of conditions that we had for Lyons Estates, or is this kind of a standalone, can do what they want to?
I believe the latter. It's not part of the subdivision, so it's not affected by the covenant that we have.
It's a separate entity then, in and of itself.
You can see Mr. Haynes actually owns this house down here.
Yep.
Yep.
So once the road is built to a certain standard, the town would be able to come in and get a building permit for that lot.
We're not expecting to build on it now.
Yep.
It's just a piece of land we'll own adjacent to the parcel that we had just purchased from David. So it becomes part of that parcel, and it just, once we get the road all in, then it becomes a buildable lot. And we can, we'll work as far as the covenant or however, we got a covenant on that to build on that at that point in time.
Okay.
We just found it was more beneficial to us to have
No, it
that
makes
large
sense.
piece of
Yep.
land right there.
Yeah, the only questions that I would have would possibly be related to utilities and how they're gonna get hooked up and how that affects Lyons Road, but I don't think one house would possibly affect anything with placement of fire hydrants or anything else. I mean, to me, it's negligible. And, when you guys go for the building permit, Nelson would be in charge of making sure that everything is squared away as that.
Correct.
So I'm good with this. I don't know how the rest of the board feels.
So that, coming off of Lyons Road, that's partially paved for what,
Correct.
5 to 10 feet or something like that, and then you go onto the dirt road?
Yep.
Now, where's the pool going to be once this line is redrawn? Are you right down the middle of it, or
Well, this line will move over this way.
going that
Be
way?
on
The
the
line's
plans.
going that way, okay,
So this, the pool will be.
It's actually 50 feet away from the pool.
okay.
Yeah, we gave them
Right.
adequate space for the land. They have the, yeah, there you go, right there.
There you
The
go.
pool, you can see the line in the pool.
You get any issue in terms
We're actually
of
putting a
walls?
fence across there for them as well, and we're cleaning up some of the trees, the overgrowth for the
Yep.
entryway to the subdivision,
Yeah.
to kind of clean up the whole entryway to make it, like he's got some, and Will Gametto, the owner of the property, is absolutely willing to work with us on that. He's kind of excited to have us do that for him, to be honest with
I've
you.
walked by there, that's been sitting that way for some time now.
Yeah, yeah, so it's kind of all overgrown, so we're gonna kind of clean it all up and make it a nice entryway. It's kind of one of the first steps we're doing right now.
Board have any questions? You guys want to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move that we accept the A&R for Yamato. And again, I'm mispronouncing the name, I'm sure, Lyons Road / Truman Drive.
I
As
have a
presented.
motion to accept the A&R plan as presented. A second?
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor? All right,
Aye.
opposed? All right, motion passed. Thank you for your time. You have something to sign here too, Bill? There you
Oh,
go.
there we go.
Okay, great. So I didn't ask, Bill, but we did have an application and the proper fees, all that stuff has been paid? I didn't ask, but the application has been received, we have proper fees, all that kind of stuff?
Correct,
All right, no waivers for the plan?
it's all set.
You.
Those are all 6 feet.
Is this one, Bill?
3 paper copies.
As soon as we get these signed, we'll move into the continuation of the public hearing, scheduled for,
Yes.
I don't think I did that on the last.
yeah, I think I only signed Mylar and 2 as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
there's another pen there, Bill, if you want to,
Either that or after the meeting, we can just,
sure.
Keep the 3, Bill, right? Take your amount, just the
You take the Mylar, we keep the paper. While we're on this, by the way, and Tom is here, we're just trying to set up the pre-construction conference for Lyons Estates.
okay.
It'll probably happen within the next week or two. And Tom has indicated he'd like to begin construction of that subdivision
Excellent.
very soon. So, do you have anything you want to add?
I'll set you a date. We'll get a plan, I think maybe next Wednesday.
Okay.
Whatever date you send me, we're good for that, so
Yeah.
we'll come in and take care
I
of
did send you
everything.
an email today,
Yeah,
so
I
you
got
can
that.
look for that.
Getting off to a running start?
Yeah, we're gonna. Right in. I'll confirm, Bill, with the date tomorrow.
Okay. And we'll need the check too, by the way,
That's to, Tom, Dudley, or is that
Yes.
to Graves?
to Town of Dudley.
Oh, he's fast.
Speed record.
You can take the Mylar.
Take the
Tom.
Mylar,
I
okay.
can't read my name, it's just a big scribble.
50 years from now, people will be asking, who was that famous guy who signed these? And no one will know.
I don't know about that.
I confuse Lou with John Hancock someday.
All right, thank you all very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Good night.
All right, so it's 7:58. The continuation of the public hearing, the major site plan review, application submitted by JD&D Construction, 6,600 square foot building for a contractor yard at 24 Oxford Ave. So the town meeting had approved the whole Chestnut Street thing. So we now have the proper access And from there, I think there's some revisions were made to the plan, correct, Bill? Revisions were made to the plan/design,
Well,
the last time we
I
saw it?
have not seen the revisions to this plan yet.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think we're all set. Lenny worked it out with Graves.
Okay.
Well, so I haven't seen the plans. Lenny did send them to Graves, and I have not heard from Jeff Walsh for his final review yet. So,
I thought the email that you sent us had a plan set, 6 drawings.
yes, but that was not the final plan set.
Okay.
That was I think, a January dated plan, and I think you revised them, Lenny, as of a March
Yes,
date.
Leonard Jalbert from Jalbert Engineering. I'm here representing the proponents for the project. What
Excuse me, could
actually,
you speak up, please, on, I
What?
have difficulty hearing you.
can you hear me?
Yeah, well, you're a little muffled, but we all are.
Okay, what actually took place is there was a few items on the original submittal that was presented from Graves on March 2nd. There were the items there, and what happened on March 5th, we corrected all the items, sent them back to Graves, and I have 3 copies of the plans here with all the corrections that were made and sent to Graves in its entirety completed, and everything is done so far. The only thing that was, the other one was an item that the town warrant, there was the roadway access to the project itself, which was on the town warrant. It was passed, and it'll be signed by the Board of Selectmen, and I consider that the submittal now is in its final position.
Okay.
So apparently there was some miscommunication that Jeff did not respond to the changes that Lenny made. And nor have I seen the revised plans, but I think they were mostly minor in nature. I think pending approval by Jeff Walsh, that it would be reasonable for the planning board to go ahead and vote on the plan this evening rather than wait for his, I think, merely a minor kind of confirmation of Lenny's additional work.
If I remember correctly, from our original bout of hearings that we had way back when, before this COVID stuff, the yard was going to be, it wasn't going to be paved. Is that correct still, or?
No, it is gonna be paved.
It will be paved. Wasn't there some equipment parking or something off to one side that wasn't going to be paved, or did that get changed?
I think, Dan, you're referring to the back of the property?
Yeah, did you, on the plans, did you include that being paved,
So the edge of
Lenny?
pavement is here.
The what?
This is
Include that
intended to
being
be a gravel
Okay.
parking area.
Did you include that on the plans?
Backside, let's see.
Lenny, if you can see on the screen here.
Okay,
Lenny,
yeah,
on the screen here, you're showing gravel in the back of the lot here.
okay. Right now, it's a gravelled site in the back, on the back corner, yes.
Yeah, that back corner, the rest will be paved.
The site itself where the parking is, access from Chestnut Street all the way through into the building itself, that area there would be all paved.
Yeah, so if I remember, the only 2 items of discussion that I remember from our earlier meetings was the area of the pavement, storage of equipment, and then the access, and that's how the whole extension, or the Chestnut Street extension conversation came up. So, obviously, the access issue has been dealt with and resolved, and the paved issue is, it was not an issue, it's probably the wrong word, it was just the discussion about pavement in that area versus the gravel. You guys being a construction company, though, I would assume that you're planning on properly compacting, sub-base, everything, making sure that there actually is a little bit of slope towards the retention pond and everything. Yeah. Well, those are the comments I remember from the earlier times. I don't know if you guys have any questions, comments that you want to...
Is that the final plan, or is that,
No.
is there another plan?
This is
This is not
the final, yes, it is. I've got them here, it's right
Because it's
here.
showing a curb cut at the road and it's not really showing a sidewalk. So it's basically showing a curb cut at the road, sidewalk stops, and then it goes into the entrance.
There's a sidewalk in the front along Oxford Avenue.
I know we've had long conversations about making sure that sidewalk's ADA compliant. And there was actually just an email out not that long ago that we all got about the state cracking down on ADA compliant. That's my only concern with that.
So what you're saying is match, well, because the existing sidewalk, I believe, is asphalt with a.
If you look at the majority of it's concrete,
The whole, yeah, that whole sidewalk's
the
concrete.
majority of the street's concrete, and they went over it with some asphalt. So the problem is when you touch a public piece of property, if it's not compliant at the time, you still have to bring it up to compliance. So you just need to make sure that that apron is ADA compliant.
Yeah, so regarding, you mean match the existing concrete to
So
the
it should be
sidewalk?
concrete, and you gotta make sure you have your 2% slopes, cross slopes.
Yeah, and just in that little section where it meets the sidewalk, the rest
That's
will be
correct.
asphalt.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't see that being an issue because the existing one's concrete, will just be right where the sidewalk runs into, cut the curb. Yeah,
Yeah, I think he's talking where it meets Chestnut Street Extension right there.
yeah, if it's
Yeah.
concrete,
Just
match
cut
it
it
up.
out.
Yeah, match it
The
up.
only reason I bring it up, because if you look here, it just shows the curb cut. It shows no sidewalk. Usually they'll show a sidewalk and they'll have a slope no more than 2% left to right and no more than 12% that way.
Yeah.
Usually on plans. So this way, when you're doing your plans, you have a plan, you replicate the plan, and there's no confusion. That's why I asked, because I don't see it on the plan.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we could add that into the minutes or whatever, to match that.
Other than that, I don't, that's my only concern. I mean, we just literally, it's funny because when I seen you at the town hall meeting, I think a couple of days later, we got an email about ADA compliant.
Yeah.
I started laughing. I said, "Oh, we just talked about this the other day."
Either way, I mean, if it's concrete there, you want to match up what's there. If it's just a small section, no big deal, So besides that, looks like we're good to go.
A lot of towns, like anything like Middlebury East, if the sidewalk, say for example, the sidewalk was in asphalt and it was old, say 20, 30 years old, right? And you got a permit to do something and you got a new road opening permit, regardless if it was sidewalk or asphalt or not, you own it and needs to be up to date. They're really cracking down on that, especially the ADA part.
Good for the info. Glad everything else looks good.
Looks good to me.
Lenny,
Good, Bill, any comments?
No, looks good.
Lenny, did you make the changes that Grave asked for in their March 2nd, 2020 letter?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, as far as you're talking about the sidewalk, if you look on sheets 6 and 6,
My sheets are so tiny,
Can't make out.
I would need a satellite from NASA to see them.
That's copyright.
okay, but what it has, there's a detail on, right there, sheet 6 in that right-hand corner,
Yep.
has the handicap ramps, ADA compliance of those. Shows you the ramps and stuff.
Oh, good job, Lenny.
Huh?
Good job.
It's got the one on 12 slopes and stuff and everything, it's all there.
Your guy's water sewer's still on the lot, right? You don't
Yes.
have to go into the
Top
street?
corner, right?
Yes.
Can you turn it to sheet 5 and 6?
Sheet 5?
Yep.
Okay. What part of it would you
A
like to see?
little farther plan north, a little more. That's okay. All right, proposed, you can stop, proposed edge of reclaimed pavement. So that's not new pavement, that's,
What is he talking about now?
I think what they're gonna do is they're gonna pave the parking lot, and then that gravel areas, they're gonna probably use millings or grindings.
Yep.
Use reclaimed asphalt there, instead of paving it.
they got paved parking area, then it says proposed edge of reclaimed pavement. Then we have the processed gravel. I'm not understanding the edge of the reclaimed pavement. See, based on the other notes, I would say it would be the edge of pavement.
This was basically that backside.
This is the edge of pavement, right here, from here over here. this here is gonna be processed gravel. Yes.
By reclaimed pavement, are we gonna make millions, or?
The arrow here is from here, this here's all paved from here to here, and from here to here is processed gravel.
To me, when I hear the proposed edge of reclaimed pavement, I'm hearing millions. And when I see the note paved parking area, I'm thinking it's actually gonna be new pavement.
See what you're saying.
Yeah.
What we wanna propose is, gravel.
So like millions.
Yeah, to cut down costs because it's such a big square footage area.
In the back.
Yeah, in the
Yeah.
back,
Oh.
you know.
But in the back, it says processed gravel.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
there's three different things going on, but there's only two areas being shown. So I'm just trying to figure out if the area that's noted paved parking area, if it's actually gonna be
Yeah,
paved,
so the
or if it's
front-
millions.
Definitely, yeah, the front's gonna be all paved parking, the
Okay,
back
good.
side is where we're gonna do the
Okay,
gravel. Yeah, just
understood.
to cut down cost, And all slope in the direction,
Yep.
of the asphalt and all that good stuff.
And Bill, whenever we were talking about this earlier, we had a handful of comments, I wanna say, that fell into the category of order of conditions. Are we gonna go back and look at the meetings, try to figure out what those were to make an order of conditions for this, or what's the plan?
I haven't done that, I forget what they were.
I think Lou had a couple of comments about if we're gonna go into the street 15 feet wide to pave it, not
Yes,
just,
if we go on the street, they're supposed to mill it.
Right, but I thought they're not doing that now, they're gonna tie in right at the,
That's why I asked if
Oh,
they
okay.
tie it in on the property.
I see what you're saying, all right.
Yeah, it was a what if, but the water and sewer's already stubbed into the lot.
We should make it an order of conditions if
Yep,
they have to go into the road.
okay. I just can't remember all the rest of the comments right now offhand. All right, any more questions, or is the board ready to make a proposal, or a motion, I
I'd
mean?
just like to ask Lenny, for Graves' comments on the March 2nd letter, there were a couple of items that were not completed at that time. Have you addressed those?
Yes, there were actually.
Number 7, 11, 14, 15, and 16?
I sent the letter to Graves on March 5th and delineated the attachments with the items that they wanted, which was sent. I gave you a copy. I'll give you another copy of it. if you want it. Here's the items that we wanted.
Okay, great, okay. So Dan, I think we could, reference a final peer review report from Graves in the decision to say that,
Okay.
A
if
motion
there are
to
any
close
outstanding
the
issues may
public
be
meeting?
addressed.
Do we need a motion to close the public meeting? Or we-
Well, there's no more comments, we can close the public meeting, then I'll take a motion, right? You guys all good, no more questions? All right, public meeting closed at 8:13. Does the board have a pleasure? Anybody want to make a motion? All eyes towards Richard, all eyes towards Bill? Who wants to speak first?
I'll make a motion that we accept the A&R plan as submitted,
It's not an A&R, it's a site plan.
or site plan, sorry.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to accept the site plan as submitted. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passed.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Just a real quick question. Next, step, we already went through the Water and Sewer Commission. I believe we got approval for all that. Obviously we failed the building permit the first time because we had to go through all these chutes and ladders.
Yep.
Do I have to reapply for the building permit again?
I would say
I would
so.
think so.
You do have the special permit from the Water and Sewer Commission for the groundwater protection district.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't think you have to, I'm
You'll
not
have the
sure,
site
but I
plan.
don't.
No, we're not paying again, yeah.
No.
No, you'll be all set. Don't worry about it. Yeah, you'll be all right. Anyways, so pull the building permit, go with Nelson, and then we break ground.
Right, I don't think you have any Conservation Commission issues here, do you?
No, not within 100 feet of a wetland.
Okay.
All right. Very good.
Good luck.
All right,
Thank you
guys.
guys very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You guys
Good
have a great
night.
night.
All right, moving on to item C, discussion status report on finishing construction of and acceptance of unaccepted subdivision streets, including any updates, Bill?
Country View Estates, the Water and Sewer Department is getting ready to make the improvements to that sewer pump station. There's a question about the condition of the pumps within the station, so the superintendent wants to inspect those pumps, and if there's any issues, have a meeting with the developer to require him to foot the bill for any improvements to the pumps that might be required. So that's been slowed down because of the coronavirus.
Yep.
And because of the injuries to a couple of the staff, but he's hoping to be able to get that back on track shortly.
Okay.
There's another issue that came up during the week, Dan, that I wanted to bring to your attention. The Misty Meadows subdivision, are you familiar with that?
It's falling apart, the road, right?
So that's up here by the Oxford line. You can see that it sort of was a two-town subdivision.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is the Dudley portion within here.
Yep.
Mr. Donahue, who lives in this lot, sent an email to us asking to fill in some potholes on that street. So it was never accepted. And there is some money remaining in the escrow account, but the developer went bankrupt. So he's no longer a viable entity to complete the road. So I think he,
How much is in escrow?
$11,436.
I think it's a waste of money to throw patches and potholes. I mean, are we looking to hire a contractor to do it, or can we have the town take some money, take some from the escrow and buy some coal patch and do that? It doesn't make sense to hire somebody and pay a premium to fill in potholes. Is
I
that
would assume,
legal?
yeah, I guess I would assume the highway department could do it, but because it's a private road, you know, I'm not sure how, if they can make an improvement to a private road.
So,
We
I-
do, of course, we do have that provision of the subdivision control law that
I gotta
the
tell
town,
you,
the town just adopted. So with a planning board recommendation to the Board of Selectmen, they can access escrow funds to make improvements to the road. So given that understanding, I think we could have the highway department do the work.
that's the way I would do it, because most paving companies are gonna charge you a minimum of $2,500 to go out there and do it, where you could probably buy 2 tons of cold patch for $300 and get it done. Because the problem is that road is beyond repair. It's gonna need to be reclaimed, graded, and repaved, and $11,000 is a quarter of what it's gonna cost to do that road. And this is one of the reasons I came on the planning board. I was tired of these subdivisions not being completed, and these poor taxpayers are buying these houses and paying taxes, and they ain't even gonna accept the road that doesn't get plowed or nothing. It's unexcusable.
I understand, no.
I'm not directing it at you by any means.
No, I feel your pain.
I don't think it's right, and I think if we can get the town to buy some coal patch maybe from the escrow, I think that's the way to go. But to spend thousands of dollars, they're gonna need every penny they can to repair that road, and at one point, they were talking about, what do they call it when they take the taxes? Where people pay an extra portion
A
every year?
betterment, right,
Abatement,
a betterment.
a betterment.
The problem with that is there's only a couple of properties up
I
there.
know.
It would be a big expense to each property owner to pay for the cost of completing that subdivision.
Where is that, sorry, where is that subdivision?
It's the
It's almost in
highlighted
Oxford.
blue here.
This is Oxford Dudley Road? So you go past
This
the
is
pond
Marsh, I
and
believe
head
this
out
is
that
Marsh
way?
Road.
That's Marsh, is it Marsh Road or is it Marsh Road right there? So it's behind Marsh Road.
I guess I got a question. I mean,
Down Marsh Road, take a
you
left.
can educate me, Bill. What's gonna happen 5 years from now when that road is not even a road and it's just gravel? At what expense? What happens?
Yeah, I don't have an answer. There
So-
isn't one, I don't think.
I was gonna try to have us address the cold patch first and then get into the issue, but maybe why not now?
Let me ask a question to Mr. Perrin, if I may, and maybe that's where you were going, Mr. Chairman. Would your suggestion be that the monies that are available, limited as they are, be used to rebuild the road, if you will, as opposed to putting a patch on it and then having to rebuild it eventually at some point anyway.
Well, my thought was if we could take some of the funds and just buy the material
Right.
and have the TPW do it, we would save thousands of dollars.
So,
And then that money could be, whatever we save could be used towards repairing the road correctly versus paying $3,000 to have somebody fix potholes.
so I go walking down this road a lot and bike riding down there. At the Misty Meadow Lane, at the intersection with Overlook Drive, it's not just a couple of potholes. The road, pretty much the whole entire width is a mess.
Oh.
So, I understand the residents' concerns. I think it needs to be repaired. The cold patch certainly sounds better and more economical than trying to tear up that whole entire intersection and do it, the right way, considering the condition of the rest of the road and considering the fact that it's not accepted right now. A bigger picture, as Bill was talking about, as Lou was talking about, how do we go about getting Misty Meadow Lane approved or accepted if the developer is bankrupt, if we only have $11,000 in there? Is there an avenue for that?
Well, as Lou mentioned, there's a betterment process where
Yeah.
the people that have frontage on the road are assessed the cost of improving the road, and that becomes part of their annual tax bill.
And you
So it
said
can be spread out over 20 years.
that there are 2 residents on that road, did you say?
No, there's about 7 maybe?
Yeah, 5 or 6.
Yeah, there's
something.
not many,
There's that many.
no.
So, it's a fairly extensive cost. So there's 1, 2, looks like 3, 4 homes on this stretch of the road.
1, 2, 3, 4,
This looks,
5, 6. That's an empty lot there.
if you count these 2, obviously, but
6.
they get their frontage off of,
Yep.
And to date, we've only heard from one of the residents, is that right?
yes.
I can guarantee you they all complain. They just get
Mhm.
tired of it.
So as far as anything else other than betterment process, there really is no other method?
Town meeting could appropriate the funds.
No, it's not likely.
I think at some point, that's what we need to do. I mean, we can't expect people to pay taxes and not have an accepted road. It's not fair to them. The people before us failed them. And it's not fair. We shouldn't kick the can down the road. Whether it's 5 people or 100 people, it's not right.
What happens in the winter? Does that get plowed at
It
all?
just keeps falling apart.
I would-
Somebody, a private contractor, somebody going in there
I
plowing?
think the residents plow it.
Do you know, Michelle?
I have a list of the streets that are plowed. Do you want me to go there?
Do you want to know?
Next meeting, or you
I
want
mean,
to
we
know?
can see it next meeting.
Okay.
Okay,
I
or
know
can
one of
just
the
send it over
residents
to you.
that lives there, and I know he plows.
Okay. Well, they're
I
taking
mean,
care of it
sometimes the
themselves.
town guys are nice enough to plow it for them because they're going through there.
Mhm.
But technically, they're not supposed to be because it's not an accepted town road.
Do you have any thoughts as to how much it would cost to bring this up to acceptance level?
Oh, boy.
Or that,
I bet you
too far down the road
Right
to-
is about $60,000. I'm just guessing off the top of my head.
okay. So we got approximately 1/5 of that in escrow right now.
And I don't even think the town's chapter 90 is enough to cover it. We don't get much for chapter 90.
So it's about 1,700 feet.
How many?
About 1,700 feet.
Chapter 90, we can't use that money anyways.
No,
private.
because it's not accepted. How wide is it? 24?
Yeah, call it 24.
Divided by 9. So it's 4,500 square yards times .056 times 4. So it's 1,000 ton. I'm just giving a ballpark number. Don't hold me to the number.
No, we're holding you to it.
Probably about 85,000.
85,000.
This is like the problem that Mr. Perrin talks about all the time, where we don't get enough escrow from these developers,
$3,000.
and here we are, again, you know?
Not only that, we don't get enough, but then we give too much of it back too quickly.
Exactly.
All right, but, okay, so big picture, we know that we're up against a couple of hurdles here. Small picture or more micro, we have some patching to discuss slash to make a motion in or to vote on. Does anybody want to make a motion here, or?
Is it,
Can we make a motion for the town to buy the coal patch
Well-
with the escrow funds?
I think the motion would be to ask the selectmen to authorize use of the escrow funds
Okay.
for coal patch.
All right, and then they would approach the highway department, I assume,
Yes.
in terms of, okay. All right, I will make a motion that we approach the selectmen with the thought that we use some of the escrow or all of the escrow funds in order to provide some relief for these
We
residents.
don't need to use all of it.
Don't need, well, some portion of it then.
The minimum.
Minimum, okay. Amend that to the minimum amount required to provide some rudimentary improvements to this road.
All right, I have a motion to approach the selectmen and ask them to appropriate funds from the escrow, minimum amount, to address and repair the potholes on Misty Meadow Lane. Do I have a second?
second?
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passed.
Bill, just an aside, do we have other escrow funds for other developers who have gone bankrupt? In other words, is there some,
They're all like on fumes.
I mean, I didn't know about this one, so I can't guarantee there aren't others out
Okay.
there like us, but this is, this came as a surprise to me. I wasn't aware of
Since
this
we're
one.
on subdivisions, now that passed at town meeting, last time we talked about sending Graves Engineer up there to give us a report on the rocky roads. We talked about that, but we couldn't do it. Do we want to have Graves Engineer go up there and give us a report on what the status is up there, on the condition, whether it's gonna last? Last meeting, their town council advised us that the road was in great condition, and I objected to that. So, I mean, do we wanna have Graves go up there and check it and see if it's failing?
This isn't on the agenda at all to be accepted at a town meeting or anything, right? This is a non-accepted road, and there's really no impetus to get it accepted, correct?
That's correct. So we, with an active developer, I don't think they have justification to use the escrow funds without their permission to have Graves go up and do that, so. I'm
Yeah, I
not
would
sure how
think
we would
that
pay
if,
for it.
once they start to ask us to accept the road, I think that would be a good time to do it.
So what happens if they never accept us, ask us? I thought when we talked about it because the road was failing in spots. And the thought process was that we just can't we can't use the escrows, we can't have the engineer go up there, because we don't have the escrows to use it, and that was the thought of the town meeting, because we all agreed that we wanted to have Graves Engineer inspect the road, because they're saying the road's in great condition, it's not failing, and I said, in spots it is failing. So do we not do anything, and they keep building 2 more lots, and the $100,000 that they have in escrow will not be enough to do the road completely when the time comes? I mean, how do we address that?
Well, they have to bring the road up to town standards when they bring it for acceptance to town meeting,
So we did Misty Meadow.
right?
and they did
We
it.
might have it on Avenue is if they, let me see, how do I word this?
So there's 2 buildable lots up there. They still need berm to finish and sidewalks to finish. And my question was, and I hate to sound like the bad guy, because the rumors around Mill is I'm the bad guy and I'm picking on people. But my point is, they got 2 buildable lots left. How do we stop them from building 2 lots, right? Selling the lots, not finishing the subdivision, retiring, walking away. The berm never gets done, the sidewalk doesn't get done, and the binder's failing. And there's $100,000 in escrow, which is not enough to finish the project. How do we prevent that?
When they come in for a lot release, you can ask for a retainer or retention of funds of the amount that's required to complete the subdivision.
But we're on board with that, but the town building department, how do the 2 departments talk? How do the
Well, they
departments
need a-
talk so
if-
we make sure that this happens?
I assume that the lots are under a covenant, so it's up to the planning board to grant a lot release from the covenant before they can get a building permit on those lots.
I'm not trying to drag the meeting out.
No, you're fine, you're fine.
No.
These are good questions.
This is just a
Well-
little, this just drives me crazy that people buy these houses, they pay a big amount of money, and they're paying taxes,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody's so happy when they buy their house, and the last thing they don't realize is the developer's gonna go under, and there's no escrow money, and
I
the
think
road
there's-
falls
yeah.
apart.
It's a weakness in the subdivision control law for sure that works to the developer's advantage. There was a very strong authority for a town to go in and force completion of the roads.
I've just seen other towns that I've worked in where they've had a lot of bite, and I don't know where they get their guidance from, but they don't allow builders to do anything, and they send engineers up there to inspect the project, and they're like, you need to fix this, you need to fix this, you need to fix this. Where are they getting that guidance? Where are they getting that bite where they can do that?
Well, I think now that Lyons has been approved, we're gonna try to do things differently this time. So we're going to have Graves involved from the very beginning and oversee the construction of the road to make sure it's built according to standards. And then when lots are requested to be released, we'll require a bond or a deposit of money in a sufficient amount to cover the cost of completing the road. So that'll help with this one, but it doesn't really help with the old ones that weren't done that way.
Yeah, I think that's exactly the problem. Moving forward, we have legal precedent, we have our desires to do the right thing, working in our favor. Unfortunately, we can't impose that on past projects. You know, we can only work within the parameters that we have. And, you know, we're trying.
Well, we are trying. I'm sorry, I'm the pit bull, but.
No, you're speaking for all of us as far as I'm concerned. I share your opinions here. I like to have all these, streets be nice. I like to be able to ride my bike down these
I know
streets.
it's not my job to inspect, but when they do Lyons Road, I'll be inspecting.
Mr.
gonna
Chairman,
make sure
I
it's
commend
done right.
Mr. Perrin. I think he's bringing some very valid issues before us and issues that the town needs to look at as we go forward and as the town starts, continues to grow.
So is there any movement on Tobin Farms? I know there was some talk about guardrails and some other things in that project.
I've not heard anything new on that one.
Okay. I think Piasta wanted to be get finished in last October and get sent on the town meeting warrant. Any progress there?
No,
There's no acceptance until next year anyway.
has to be at the Springtown meeting.
Right, so all of these things have months to go. Technically.
Right, it's just that, it sounds like it's July, well, they got all kinds of time to go, but when the plants all close in November and you can't do much between November and
Right.
March or April, then you don't have as much time as you think.
Hopefully they're making some progress.
Item D, final inspections associated with site plans. Anything there, Bill?
No.
Echo, planner's plate. Anything we have for us?
A couple of things. I mentioned the Lyons Estates pre-construction conference will probably take place next week.
Yep.
I can let the board know when that is, if anybody wants to attend.
Excuse me, Bill, I don't know what this thing is doing up here. It's
Okay.
making a lot of noise. Hopefully it's doing something to condition the air, but I think it's more noise, quite frankly.
So the Lyons Estates pre-construction conference will be next week. I will let you know when that will take place, and if any of the members want to attend, you'd be welcome to do so.
Will that take place in your office?
Yes. The Complete Streets program, we had a conversation today with the Central Mass Regional Planning Commission. The town will be moving forward with becoming a Complete Streets community. CMRPC will be drafting a Complete Streets policy for the selectmen to adopt. And then the next step would be to perform a needs analysis and identify the priority streets that would make sense for adhering to these principles. And then that provides, the town would then be eligible for construction money for improvements like sidewalks, curb ramps, bicycle facilities, things of that sort. So it's a pretty good program. And I also got a call today from Jean Davis that I'd like to run by the issue that she brought up. She has land in the Conservation District, which is here. This is the Conservation District on Pierpont Meadow Pond. This is her lot right here. So the Conservation District does not allow development. It's purely an open space district. You can do things like parks and farming and, you know, other open space kinds of uses, but you can't develop it. So she obviously is concerned that the town has usurped her right to develop her property. There are some other homes that have been built in that district. So you can see that there's a home on this lot, and this lot, and this lot up here. So she has a question about what can she do to change the zoning for this district so that she would be able to, say, build a home on her lot. I was wondering,
Houses built on those lots before that was a conservation district?
you know, I haven't done the research yet, I just spoke with her today, so I'd like to do that. But I'm thinking maybe we could bring her in and talk to her at the next meeting. Apparently, this has been going on for quite some time. I don't know the full story of what's been done in the past. But the things that occurred to me are either to rezone her land or to provide some sort of change to the district which would allow a single-family home, perhaps on a large lot, or by special permit, or figure out some way that she could come in and apply for a permit to build on her lot.
We just couldn't change the zoning for one lot. It'd have to be for the whole thing somehow, wouldn't it? I mean,
I
you
think it
can't
would be
zone by
difficult.
choice like that, right?
It'd be difficult to be a spot zone
Yes, possible.
just to make a change for her property.
How big is her property, do you know?
I can find out.
I just wondering if it's like 10,000 or 100,000.
16
That's it.
acres?
Oh, wow.
Hey, could you blow that up? I want to see the roads if I could that are
Dudley,
Excuse me?
Oxford.
Dudley, actually.
You want it zoomed out
Marsh.
or in?
Oops.
There's some nice walking trails back there.
So the Audubon Sanctuary is in here. This is Audubon property. DuPont Meadow Audubon Sanctuary.
I go walking back there too.
Do you want me to show you something, Richard?
I can't see that very well. I apologize. I can't get to it.
So Dan, I'm thinking maybe I could invite her to come into a meeting and talk
Yeah.
about this issue with her.
Yeah, gladly. I'm fine with that. Anything else, planner's plate?
Nope.
Comments from the board? Nothing? Bill, Richard, nothing?
I'll just to reiterate my earlier comment in terms of commending Mr. Perrin for his diligence and concern. As
Be
he's-
careful, you might get daggers thrown at you.
No. As you eloquently, very eloquently stated, people have purchased properties and they have certain expectations that go along with that. And unfortunately, in some cases, the expectations are not met and people are left holding the pothole, so to speak. And that is unfortunate. I don't know, the other unfortunate aspect of this is the town's financial position is such that I don't think the town is going to jump to the benefit or the aid of these folks, at least in a very meaningful way, at least not immediately. And that in itself is a shame, again. Thank you, Mr. Perrin.
Thank you. All right, no further comments from the board? Would we like to adjourn?
Oh, we have one other item.
Motion we adjourn, Mr. Chairman?
We have one other item here to appoint Mr. Giglio as an associate member.
yes.
He's willing to accept.
Yeah, so Russ was on the board a couple years ago, and last year he was our associate member. And he has stated his willingness to stay on as our associate member. I know he did a good job when he's on the board, and it'd be good to have him, as needed. Be happy to accept the motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion that we reappoint Mr. Russell, help me with the name, please?
Giglio.
Giglio, as associate member of the planning board.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you, Russ. Thank you, board.
Now, would he need to be sworn in, Bill?
He would need to be sworn in.
He doesn't need the approval of the selectmen as well?
No, the bylaw gives the planning board authority to appoint. It's for a one-year term only, though.
All right.
Now, I think the board needs to set its next meeting date,
Yep.
which we could do the second Wednesday of the month, or we could skip that meeting if you're so inclined.
Yes, at the last meeting, we decided to meet once a month unless there was further business that required us to meet
Right.
more often. I'm not seeing the need to meet again in 2 weeks. I would recommend maybe if the board's in favor of meeting again the second Wednesday in August, whatever date that may
August
be.
12th, was it, I thought?
The
Yeah.
first Wednesday
Second,
in August?
yeah. We do second and fourth, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Second, whatever the second is in.
The second Wednesday, right.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move that our next meeting be scheduled for August 12th, 2020, hopefully in the same location.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, motion passed.
Oh, if it's in order, Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion that we adjourn.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Fred.